Welcome back to Taylor Talks. I am Brad.
And I'm Will. Good to see you.
Great to see you, sir. Back from Costa Rica.
Indeed, and back from Aruba.
Back, yes.
Happy 40th.
Yes, we're all getting a little bit older.
I'm so excited about today's topic. We're talking about why experiential retail matters in 2025.
And I think it's timely to talk about it because I think in a couple more years it'll just be retail. And what I mean by that is if you're not providing experiential retail in some way, shape, or form, you probably won't be in business. So I think
Indeed.
The time is coming.
Speaking of retail, let's do a wrist check.
Okay, yes.
What do we have on the wrist today, bro?
So I've got a 70s Oris pie pan.
Ooh, very nice.
So, love a pie pan.
Little rarity.
Yes, yes. What about you?
I'm wearing a 1985 Rolex Day-Date.
Awesome. And this was from...
It was actually my grandfather's.
Nice. Very nice.
Quite nice as well.
Yes, and for a reminder for everybody, we love our vintage watches and selling our vintage watches at OMJ. So we've still got to do the watch episode. We've got to do it.
Certainly, something we're so passionate about.
As we've been talking about this quite a bit. I know I was sharing with you, experiential retail, that is becoming more of a buzzword. This is something that Felipe and I were high on from the very beginning, right? And I want to also say experiential retail has evolved over the years. OMJ has evolved over the years, and we are still evolving and still learning. We talk to clients, but also other businesses that we consult with a lot, and we share, and I share this. So if you are another business listening or you're somebody looking to start your own business, there's no magic playbook, and it is ever changing. And so if you're wanting and passionate about doing it, it's something that you can start with a few key things, have a great experience for your customer. That is the first and foremost thing. But the main thing is that you can't rest on that. You've got to continually evolve. And some of the people that I've spoken with and clients that I've talked with, they've been in business a long time. And they come to us and they say, hey, we've always done this, and it's not working anymore. And it's time to change or shift, and it could be a slight shift. And that's what I really want listeners to get from today's episode is the power of being nimble and shifting and changing, as we've talked about in many other podcasts. But there's always work to be done to improve, to get better, providing that experience for your customers. And small business has a very distinct advantage, which we'll talk about today too.
Certainly. And something that I think that we've honed really well here. But again, we're still learning. And it's about engagement and continually fostering relationships with our clients.
And we don't always get it right.
No, we don't.
Definitely don't always get
But
it
we're
right.
always trying. So there's obviously been a shift in retail marketing over the last several years. And I know that you've spoken to this on a number of occasions, how that's evolved. And you prescribe and have essentially come up with your own sort of retail pyramid. And if you could go into that pyramid and discuss the tenets of it.
So I'll first say, OMJ Marketing, you've seen it from the beginning. It's evolved a lot. It used to be you showed great pictures. You could show some great pictures on Instagram and get customers that way. It was, if you created a beautiful environment, that was enough. To where now, today, it's a multi-channeled approach, right? What used to be beautiful pictures on a website, or Instagram has evolved, websites have evolved, consumer mindset has evolved, there's so many businesses. Retail in general is incredibly oversaturated, so everybody has beautiful pictures, a great website. So the evolution is to maintain and thrive and provide that experience is a multi-channel approach. You're going to go from, it's not just beautiful pictures, it's beautiful video. It's your website used to be the very first thing that people went to, and now it's the last thing. that people go to. So they're finding you all these different ways. But I love an anecdote, a comparison, a metaphor. I love
You know
creating
what.
these. I love creating these. My experiential retail pyramid that I came up with is 3 levels. I could make it 4 if anybody would be so inclined and they wanted to pay me to
Nuances
workshop that.
throughout.
Yeah. Somebody would like to pay me to write about this or workshop it further, I'd be happy to do. But at 3 levels, think of it like good, better, best. All right, so level 1 is your designed, curated place and something free. So you're getting something, whether that be an offer to get them a drink, a glass of water, it could be anything, but you're giving them something. They're coming in, you're giving them something. Level 2 is, do they feel inspired and do they walk out the door feeling inspired? And so this is a harder level, right? And these first 2 levels, so think about a pyramid. Level 1 is your bare minimum. Level 2, brands doing this are really good. These are really well-known and great brands. It's harder for big box to do it because this also involves staff, employees. They've got to be passionate about what they're doing. So that's level 2. Level 3 is, are they inspired long after they leave? So this is where we are in 2025, and this is the ultimate place you want to be. It's really hard to do. It's like this magical area because of the world is so fast-paced and there's so much distraction. If you can provide an experience after they've left, you have really hit the pinnacle. And so this is what OMJ, we've been focused on, really striving to do that. That's 2 weeks later, the email they get, or the handwritten thank you note they get, or the information you're giving them, serving them in their email, giving to them for free. For us, it's blogs and podcasts, and it's how to take care of their garment, and it's all these things. We're not asking them for anything. We're giving them stuff for free. And so that's experiential retail. That is the experiential retail pyramid.
And I feel, to piggyback on that, we're really creating a lifestyle brand as well as just beautiful clothing. So having that constant engagement and retaining those customers over time and giving them a reason to come back in, giving them a reason to spread the word as well, I think is just so invaluable, especially to a small business. And I think that's something that any small business can take away from this discussion, is that we're in the unique position of making a difference.
And again, there's all types of businesses out there. There's businesses that are very high volume, lower dollar. So this doesn't apply equally. We are a high dollar, low volume business, and something perhaps that changed my outlook 7 or 8 years ago probably was I was so concerned about being a household name, a household brand, but this isn't a household name or brand. It's never going to be something that everybody knows about. And so OMJ, we need 1,000 customers for life, and that's it. If we have 1,000 customers, which we are at, thankfully, where we've worked with several thousand customers. Obviously, not everybody returns, but we want 1,000 people that return somewhat consistently. And if we do that, we've done our job. We've created that experience for that 1,000 people. We're not worried about the millions and billions of people out there who this isn't for them. And so I think truly knowing that and being comfortable with not being well known around the world, even around Charlotte, I'm okay with that. I'm okay if most of Charlotte doesn't know who we are, but my 1,000 customers know that we care about them and that we're serving them.
And I think you've done a great job at striking a balance between being inclusive, but yet not diluting ultimately our brand and our offerings.
I think every industry has this. There can be a desperation for business, a race to the bottom for business. It's really easy to want that customer. And it took me a long time. if I told everybody what our first suits that we made for people, custom suiting, they would fall out of their chair. As
I remember those days.
I am thinking about all the money we left on the table. But at the time, that was part of the experience, I think, is they were taken care of. And we were this small company, and we didn't have a brand. And so that's part of building it. No regrets, but knowing that your business and what the value is so important, because you're not going to be for every customer. And there's a lot of customers, they come in and they ask us for discounts and all that sort of thing. And it hurts, certainly, turning people away from those reasons. But also, we know that if they don't respect us as a company, that we have our process and our costs and things like that, then it's not somebody I want to be a part of that 1,000 customers anyway.
Sure. And I think as well, the value add in what we've created here, we've got more or less a community within a community with, say, things like our whiskey club.
Yes. I think to that point, I look at it like there's traditional marketing strategies, right? Print media, now like Facebook would be a traditional marketing strategy. It wasn't always that way.
20 years on.
Talk about evolution. But these are things where people traditionally advertise or market, and a true experiential retail, the people doing the best at it have untraditional ways that they're marketing it. And so I know, at least for us, we're very big on events and events for like-minded individuals. We have a whiskey club. We'll often host other events here. So my fraternity has a golf tournament every year. We just hosted that this past Friday.
Working with brands like Flora.
Yep, Flora, which is a women's brand. We'll do collaborations with other brands.
Carolina Watch Club.
Host other experiential clubs, which like the Carolina Watch Club. Stuff like that is so important, because that's untraditional marketing where it's providing an experience for the customer. You're not reaching a large audience while you're doing it, but you're reaching a targeted audience. This is exactly your customer. So you can do a print ad in a magazine and reach a large audience, but it might not be your targeted audience. Or you can do an event for 50 people that are all your target.
Or even doing this.
Or perhaps a podcast.
Which is so enjoyable.
Yes. Always a pleasure.
Indeed.
Will and I were always looking for topics and other co-hosts as well. So I think one of the things, like going off script here, but we've got a lot of different topics we want to cover. We're also really wanting to interview other folks as well.
Right.
So we're looking forward to that too.
A lot of fun stuff to come.
Yes.
So, experiential retail done right. Do you have any examples, Brad?
Yeah, maybe starting with a national first. I think the big so my point earlier, small business has a real advantage here because they don't have a corporate structure they have to work around. Even for us or other small business, it's a lot of times the owner is there, and the owner, nobody is more passionate about the business than the owner. So that's an experience in itself. A customer getting to talk to the owner is so key. You can't do that with big retail. But the first thing that comes to mind is like the Apple Store, right? I think everybody can agree it looks great in there. You feel inspired when you're there. The people working there, or everyone at least that I've worked with, is very passionate about what they do. And it's just a great experience, right?
Sure.
You can play with the tech. Their campaigns are like no other. You feel a vibe when you're there. I think they do it probably one of the best from a national perspective. What about you?
Yeah, years ago, I was getting my MBA, and Harvard Business School had a case study on IKEA. And IKEA keeps coming to mind when I think of this particular space.
It's a great example.
And as far as like big box stores are concerned, of course, it would fall into that category. However, I think what they do that's so unique is their maze system. So you're essentially forced, once you enter their doors, to basically view and see every item that they have to offer. And not only are you seeing those items on shelves, but you're actually seeing how they can be integrated into your home and how you could live with them. So I think IKEA is doing a really good job at refocusing how we buy, how we think, and ultimately how we live. So that would be my sort of utmost example as far as customer experience and experiential retail.
Every time I go in there, and there's no plans to redesign any of the bedrooms at the moment, but every time I walk through there, I'm like, man, I need that closet.
You're immediately transported, you're inspired.
Yes.
From what I understand as well, their food even.
The food is great.
They price at a loss, essentially, because they know you are going to buy more
And
as a
people talk
result
about it.
of having a nibble or two.
And people talk about it. You're right. There's such a great example of they're giving you something. Not only, perhaps the biggest thing they're giving you is an afternoon experience. You don't just go and leave, try as you may. They're a place for you. It's almost like a playground for adults. You can go and spend an afternoon there.
Sheer immersion.
Yes, yes, which is probably the greatest thing they offer in general, but they're constantly giving you stuff. You feel like you're getting a value while you're there.
And I think the Swedes just do it better. And the Swedish meatballs.
And this week, yes, the meatballs are great. And also, I think with Apple too, they're always showcasing the next evolution, right? Same with IKEA. IKEA, Apple, they could do nothing different for a long time and be fine. But every time you go in there, there's something new or they've changed something. And I think that's key to the evolution. And I think that's something too that us as small businesses, we have to keep that in mind. Our racks, we have to change those out. Custom is our bread and butter, but if our racks look the same and people walk in a month apart, it doesn't feel like an experience at that point.
Yeah, and even if we're meeting with a client, say in our custom room, it might be that they, out of their periphery, they catch a color they haven't seen before since the last time they were in here, and then that leads to another purchase before they leave. So, just fun little takeaways.
Yeah, what about, I know we talk about small businesses, but what are some like there's a lot of great ones in Charlotte. What are some of your favorites in Charlotte?
So, the Scout Guide, for instance, in Charlotte, I think is an incredible resource to learn about small businesses that are really within their respective industries, are really doing things right and are really doing things well to the utmost quality, and you're going to get the best experienced minds in those varying industries. And within the Scout Guide, of course, we are fortunate enough to be featured this year.
Shout out to the Scout Guide. OMJ, you will find us. We will grab a copy. Stay to the blooper.
Indeed. But there's so many local small businesses within the Scout Guide that we champion. Our Runberg Curiosities being one of them, I think really provides a unique experience for shoppers and consumers, especially in the space of like antiquities, home furnishings, accessories, any sort of, whether it be cutlery or plates and bowls, et cetera. They source from all over the world. They have really interesting personalized gifts the world over as well. They have a staff as well that really knows their craft and knows their customer perhaps better than any of their competitors.
I think that's the experience. I know you've attended some events and things like that were hosted just for I won't say handful, but the customer events. Again, this is for the customer.
Sure. They'll have wine dinners. They take this sort of approach that really personalizes the experience that you're going to get and makes you feel like you're a part of something. And I just think they roll it out really well.
That's awesome. Yeah. Honestly, a lot of the businesses over there in Providence and in the East River area, they do a great job with this. I think They're all in cahoots, possibly.
Tiny Gods Jewelry is next
Yep.
door.
Stephen Wilson studio, a great artist here in Charlotte, where they moved their studio. We were talking with him at the Scout Guide party, and they moved the studio over to that area, and they host wine nights and things like that. This would be untraditional marketing in terms of, you have an artist studio, and most artists are holed up in their studio, and it's not like that. And that's a way for people to connect. I think Tabor does a great job. Tabor is upscale men's clothing, and they do not do custom, so we have a great relationship. They'll send clients that need custom over to us. Obviously, they carry a lot of off-the-rack stuff that we don't carry, so we'll send folks over to them. But they're always doing special events, and they have a coffee shop. Shout out to Not Just Coffee, also a small business local to Charlotte, offering a great experience and the best coffee. And they're constantly changing their store, evolving it, doing these intricate setups for seasons or events that are the extra step, the extra detail. Like, it's not easy to put a graphic on your door, right? It costs money, it's time, it's effort. So putting a graphic for a weekend-only event on your door is the type of unconventional marketing, and just a small thing that you can do that makes a big impact. And what most businesses won't do, because it takes extra time, it takes extra money. So those are little examples, I think. Yeah, I think Charlotte's a great small business community.
And I think one thing that all of those businesses share is that they're so personable. You don't have that disconnect between, say, the artist and the consumer. It's nice to engage literally face to face and find out about, say, I'm talking to Ruth Runberg about an artifact that she was able to source in Egypt. And it's just cool to hear about the story. I hear so often, do you favor more the hunt or the ownership? And it falls into play.
That's a great way to think about it.
With a lot of these sort of items that we've hit today.
Oh, man, that's a great way to think about it.
It's just fun to have those discussions.
All right. Brands that missed the mark. Now, Will and I talked about this. Okay, so this was just our pettiness. We said, okay, we're going to talk about some brands that have personally wronged us. I'm just kidding. But
we can go down that rabbit hole.
we won't go too far, I would say. But I think this is more of a cautionary tale, right? You just can't be this way in 2025 and expect to survive. I'll give a quick story. This happened to us. Hannah had bought some things in Blowing Rock. We love Blowing Rock, North Carolina, the mountains, and a small boutique there. And she had bought some things, came home, didn't fit the way she wanted it to. We were up there maybe 3 weeks later, and we were going to Tweetsie with the family, and she went in to return. And the person was like, sorry, we have only a 2-day return policy. Okay. Look, hey, I love the store. I'd love to buy other things. What about a store credit? I want to support small business. No, sorry. Hey, like I just need to return this. I can't wear it, and I'm happy to buy something else. Really, you're out nothing. Look, my husband owns a retail store, and I get it. It's a small business, but a store credit, would you consider that? And they were very adamant, and no. So they've lost a customer. There's no way we're going back there over a $50 top. And Hannah was wanting to find other things. This was before our trip. If they'd have given her store credit, she would have bought far more than the store credit. And so that's just an example. I would expect that business doesn't last long if that's their policy. And look, I get it. There's people that take advantage. I get why rules are in place. There's always people that are going to try and take advantage. But if you go through life as a small business thinking everybody's out to get you, you're going to miss the opportunities like that to make a sale.
Sure. I think at some point you have to be a bit malleable to the circumstances and reasonable.
Not only that, Hannah, her sister had shopped there. when she was up
So you
there,
have the domino effect.
they had talked about how good the stuff in that store was. But now the only conversation is how bad the experience was. Yeah.
Oh, I hate to hear that. As far as my sort of example as to brands that have missed the mark, I still look into the big box space. Department stores are faced with this challenge, Macy's in particular, as far as like customer service challenges, even down to staffing, as far as not having the proper staff or being understaffed, that is. I think that those are true challenges, especially to consumers that are going in to purchase something. And as wonderful as their Thanksgiving Day parade is, it's hard to experience that sort of parade fanfare walking into one of their stores, which is unfortunate because they still have some wonderful products.
Is a vicious cycle, and I get it. You could throw a Belk in this.
Sure.
You could throw any big department store that's honestly, you could probably throw most in here. It's your sales are slumping, so you're cutting back expenses, which is staff, and you create this vicious cycle of now you're cutting back staff, so your morale is lower. So your people that are working there are overworked, underappreciated, and now they're not passionate about what they do any longer.
And then you're just constantly behind the eight ball.
Always behind the eight ball. And so these companies, they get into this, and it's really hard to get out of it. I get it, and it's interesting in Gastonia, lovely Gastonia, at the Eastridge Mall, which is very straight out of the 90s still.
Very much.
The Belk there, the Dillards, like they've turned these into outlets. But from a business model perspective, becoming an outlet, you get out of the experience game. You don't have to have the experience. Experience is not as important. People are going there to find a deal, so you don't have to place the emphasis on customer experience. So in a way, they've created to where they're having to go to this outlet model, this lower cost bargain model, because they can't adequately staff the stores. And so in a way, I don't think people look that deeply into it. I, of course, do, but I get it. It makes sense. They can no longer provide a great customer experience.
And it's so worrisome because unless they were to rewrite their respective ships, the next step is death.
Yep, which we've seen a lot of that over the years, or consolidation, brands tailoring back their portfolios or their stores or closing underperforming stores. Look, big box is just really hard in this economy because of online. And this goes back to earlier what I was saying. In a couple more years, that level one pyramid, that baseline, will just be retail. Right. So if you're walking into a retail store, every retail store you walk into that is still existing, you'll have that experience when you walk in. And because it's so hard for these big box brands to do that, you're no longer a differentiator. As the market becomes more saturated, as online and Amazon become more prevalent, the people shopping at Amazon are the people that don't care as much about the experience. So they're not going to go into a store that doesn't care about the experience. So what's left is you go online or you have a good experience if you're going into retail stores. So retail stores that are still around in a couple of years are around because people want to go to the store. They want that experience. And so that's a divide. It's just very much, it used to be if you sold a product that you couldn't find everywhere, you could stay in business, regardless of your experience. But now, because everything is so obtainable, you can find that product anywhere. So if you're not creating an experience, why would they come shop with you?
And now you've got the advent and advancement of AI.
Yes.
Which, of course, is going to change anything and everything we've talked about today.
I think AI is going to be the great equalizer in that baseline. So there'll no longer be excuses. And my take is if you're a high agency person, AI is going to make you that much better. If you're not high agency, if you take shortcuts and things like that, AI will be your detriment because AI levels the playing field. If you're motivated and you want to do these things, you can now use AI to do what used to be maybe like a gatekeep thing. I don't know how to take proper pictures, or I don't know how to write a newsletter, which is so important. Newsletters are so important. I don't know how to write one, so I don't do it, but I would love to write one. High agency person can now write their newsletter to their customers and provide that experience. So it's a great equalizer. And if brands aren't adapting to that in the best way possible for them, they're just going to get left behind.
Sure. So the power of community in retail, which I know we've hit upon. Of course, we talked about our whiskey club and several of the events that we've hosted here as well. Can you speak to the power of community and how it's ultimately shaped OMJ?
I remember talking to, this was the early days of OMJ, given the pitch, right? We gave 1,000 or hundreds of thousands of these, the elevator pitch.
To the exponent.
People want to belong to something bigger than a clothing brand. And my example I would use would be why we're different is, hey, we're a brand, we have a story, we connect, and the great thing about a small brand, OMJ, is the person wearing the OMJ logo at the time has something to talk about on the golf course or at the bar or at the event. He can tell the story of this OMJ brand, you got to let me tell you about them. And there's a power in that, belonging to a community, feeling ownership over that you don't get with, I'm wearing Polo Ralph Lauren, and the people you're with, there's no story there. We love Polo, right?
Sure.
But there's not a story there like a local brand can give, that story of how you found the brand and what they mean to you. There's a power in that.
Definitely, to have that sort of intimacy associated between the consumer and the brand. And I think that's something that we've done really well. And I think another thing that you've especially done well is the sort of the authenticity factor in all of it. Sure, we're wearing suits today, or we're wearing jackets today, and we're wearing ties and a nice dress shirt and nice shoes and a nice watch. We literally live this.
Yeah.
We didn't just put these items on. We're going out the door in these items. We're living our lives in these items. You're picking up your kids from school in these items. I'm taking out my beloved dog Gaston in these items, or my lovely wife Jamie out to dinner in these items.
And our wives are making fun of us.
Potentially that as well. But there's a security, though, I think, that has been created, whether that's tangible or not. There's a feeling. Right. And then you compound that with those relationships that are made in between with even fellow customers. But it's not just the relationships with us, but it's the relationships that are formed outside of us, but because of the community that we've created here.
I love it, especially around the holidays. I'll get the text, the picture, and it'll be multiple guys holding their jackets open with the OMJ label.
I love it too.
There'll be a group of 4 or 5 of them, and they were at whatever event. They didn't know, they might not have known per se that any of them were OMJ customers, or they may have known, or somehow it came up. But to get a picture of 5 guys with their jackets open to say OMJ is really cool.
It is so cool.
And I think that speaks directly to the power.
And then ultimately, stories come from those experiences.
Yes.
Everyone's talking about the first time they walked into OMJ, or the first time they met Brad, or, hey, I've got to get back in there.
Or Felipe, they ran into Felipe at some event, and he literally made them set an appointment on the spot. Felipe is great at this, right?
It's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, I think It's really about building that community beyond like us just selling clothes. Again, and I will say this too. We are always learning. We don't do everything right all the time by far, and we're always looking to grow and get better. One of the things I had just written down was some of the things that we've done, the strategies, like to build the brand, and it would be great to get your take too, starting as a customer before joining us here, but how we do that. And for OMJ in 2025, because we really just went through a big process. Things were going well. 2024 was a record year, but the end of 2024, I was just really feeling like we're not maximizing what we can do for the times that have shifted. And it was really that third level of the pyramid that I was thinking about and talking about. How can we do that? How can we inspire people after they leave, after they're gone, in between? We're such a long order process. People get their stuff, they take it, they love it in store, they leave, we don't hear from them. How can we inspire them 2 weeks later? So we came up with our marketing approach was really in addition to, we are always very well connected. We do reach out to them, right? Like lots of communication. So we created a very elaborate series of emails, right? So this is piggybacking. If you're not subscribed to the OMJ newsletter, you can get all my ramblings. Of course, obviously, when we do events and things like that, you get that. But on top of that is this immersive experience in terms of it's a whole campaign that we built that stretches 18 months. So if you come in here and buy, when you take your jacket, shirt, suit home with you, you're going to get the thank you, right? You're going to get that this is how you care for your garment. Do not dry clean it, right? Then you're going to get series of emails that we have put a lot of time and effort into creating to inspire you, to help you on your journey, whether you're a rock star at work looking to elevate, whether you're a young professional just getting into and starting this interest in menswear, whether you're the mid-level executive trying to climb the ladder, wherever you're at in your career, we're giving you the resources that will help you, that will inspire you, hopefully, to reach that next level, to where you want to go. So being a partner, and that's really, for me, that was just such a transformative process. It took a long time. It took a lot of energy. It was not cheap, but that was so important for us to offer that extra third level or
Sure, like a
tent.
like a nurturing aspect to it all.
Right. We want to feel connected even when you're not talking to us directly. And so that was the journey that we're on. And I'm sure in a couple years it'll all be Star Wars. I had to get my pop culture reference in. It'll be Star Wars hologram reference. You call us up and we'll be a hologram of Brad and Will telling you what to pick out of your closet. That's coming.
Lightsabers included.
Yes, but in the meantime, what we're working on is a AI chat in our voice. So we've trained it to where you can say, what color shoes do I wear with this suit? Or send a picture of, hey, this is my shirt. What do I wear with it? And it tells you those things. So that's like the next thing that's coming. But we're always just trying to think of what we can do.
Sure. So, any key takeaways?
I think I'm realizing that, as I mentioned at the top, we work with a lot of other small businesses. And of course, I go into this with them. So I'll do consulting as we'll constantly have businesses either want to pick our brain or actually want to hire us to help them. I think my key takeaway is I probably need to hit that messaging harder that the time is shrinking to implement that base level, that bare minimum for what you need to survive.
Sure. And just underscore what you just said, for me as well, it's about looking, listening, and putting forth a guide for us to cater to our customers. So looking and listening to their wants and needs, and also looking and listening to the world, the greater world around us, and inputting any of those changes into sort of our business model as well.
Pivot and pivot.
Pivot and pivot.
Yeah. That was an awesome episode today. Am always reminded, make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast. For many of you, y'all see it in clip form, and that's truly the value of doing the podcast. I had a conversation the other day, and I love my friends that I talk to where they skeptically ask me things. Right? I know for those that don't know, I can very much read the tone of what people are saying without them actually having to say it. But it was something like, so do people listen to your podcast? I love that one.
I've heard that one as well.
Yeah. And I always love it. I always have it ready. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. The whole podcast is not the point of the podcast, right? And then I get the, oh my gosh, what have I done? I've gone down the wrong road with Brad here. It's like, no. The point of the podcast is the clips we pull out to share the story. Not many people have time to listen to the full thing, although anybody that listens to this full thing, Mom.
Yeah, Mom and Dad, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for listening. And it's there for people. That's for our 1,000 customers. The podcast is in the library of the tools that we give them. They can go listen to if they so choose to. We do not think we're going to get thousands of views on our full podcast. The point of the podcast is the clips that we get to pull out on our experiential retail pyramid, and it's the person in Kansas that hears that and messages me and says, hey, I'm a brand, and I heard this, and I love it, and it really helped me. That's the point of the podcast. Or the person who has a wedding, and because we talked about the nuances of a wedding, they said, hey, this really helped me. That's the purpose of the podcast. So friend who asked me, if anybody listens, that one's for you.
Indirectly paying it forward.
Yes. But we love what we do, obviously. We'll be back soon with other great topics and soon to come guests.
Indeed. Can't wait. Thanks, guys.
Thank y'all. The latest Scout Guide.
So good.
Yes.
Look at us. We've made it.
Yes. I got to give props to you guys for setting this picture up. I literally would have never shot it that way. I would have only shot it this way. Look at that.
We've arrived.
It turns out great. Scout Guide, everybody. Make sure you pick up your copy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.